Right, it's also a bit well. Afternoon, everyone. I see we've got quite a few guys online with us. Mal, how are we looking in terms of numbers, and when do you want me to start?
I think that's just cognizant of everyone who's joined on time. I think we can kick off in about a minute.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Afternoon, guys. For those just joining now, we're going to just give it a minute or so, and then we'll kick off almost exactly on 12 o'clock. And we've got a nice turnout already in, so welcome if you've just joined.
Alrighty, Mal, I think we're 1 minute past 12, so I think let's get this party started. So firstly, I'd like to welcome everyone that has joined us for this Bits and Bytes virtual event this afternoon. I know that you guys are all extremely busy, so we really appreciate it for you guys joining us for the session this afternoon. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Louis Jordan. I'm the co-founder and COO of Torito Networks, and I'll be your guest for this afternoon and your host for this afternoon. I'm quite excited. It is my debut, so I'm looking forward to this session. Today's topic is how to bulletproof your business with effective backup, and I think it's a great topic to discuss because I know a lot of our clients have these concerns and risks within their business, and we've got an awesome guest speaker this afternoon that will be joining us and covering this topic. So I'd like to introduce you Trent Lester from Irontree. Trent is the head of technology. He heads up the technology at Irontree, and he's been in the industry for over 14 years. Trent's journey in the field of technology has been remarkable. Following his father's passion in tech industry, Trent's interest for innovation and dedication to mastering his craft propelled him to the position of head of technology at Irontree. Trent is responsible for overseeing the entire technology department, software development, and infrastructure and IT operations at Irontree. So let's give a warm welcome to Trent. Thank you, Trent. Over to you.
Thanks, Louis. Thanks for that introduction. Seeing as that most of the guys are on the technical front today, we're going to try to dive into that as soon as possible. The first thing I want to chat about is just our differentiating factors. So on a technical side of things, we have best-in-class technologists. We have over 16,000 customers utilizing our services currently. And from a human factor, we really pride ourselves on support with guys in the industry. Especially when the guys are going through difficult times in terms of cybersecurity and backups. We really pride ourselves on our customer support. Today, I'm going to be just quickly going over our Secure IT Suite. Secure IT Suite encompasses a range of our products, including the host IT, which is the VPS side of things, the store IT, which is the backup, Protect IT, which encompasses backup and cybersecurity. And today we're really going to be looking at Recover IT, which is all of those backup, cybersecurity, and disaster recovery. I'm also going to be doing a demo of a disaster recovery to show you guys how quick and efficient that goes, as well as there's a POPIA compliance aspect to this as well. So who does this apply to? Well, you guys, which is why we're doing it now. So meet Recover IT. So everyone's aware about how stressful it is running a business in terms of IT systems with how the world is at the moment with all the attack vectors, which helped us build out a Recover IT platform, which encompasses backup, cybersecurity, and disaster recovery. So what are the advantages? Well, one, you don't have to buy your own infrastructure, which can be very costly. We offer you an offsite cloud recovery site. There's instant recovery of virtualized and physical machines. we can protect things like databases, Office 365 workloads, and we have a proactive AI-based anti-malware system for the guys. What's the differentiator? Well, in terms of our RPO and RTO, we're best in class, as well as what kind of workstations we support. I want to quickly jump into a case study. Recently, we had a client, Kalaska Trading. They called us and said that their system had a pastel corruption. After further investigation, we found out that they had succumbed to an attack, and they were quite frantic about what had gone on in their business. They were unable to work. So we were able to recover their systems to our hosting platform, and we've done this on a lot of cases with a lot of clients with the recent cyber attacks, and they were able to continue to work, and they're still our client today. Another one of our big clients, Prudential, which is now M&G, they obviously had large amounts of systems to manage, things to oversee. With our professional services, we're able to assist them with managing their backups and cybersecurity space. And they have been running with us now for almost 2 years. So just an overview before we get into the demo. So we have 5 unique modular products, and our customers value our support highly. So I'm going to jump straight into the console now for you guys. So this is our recovered IT console. To start off, we have a dashboard. This dashboard is fully customizable via widgets. So for guys that are looking for specific types of customization, that can all be done. We have alerts on the left-hand side here for any active alerts on the system. This includes cybersecurity alerts, backup alerts, etc. Our activities just shows ongoing activities or activities that have been completed for auditing requirements. And something unique to this platform is our threat feed. So this threat feed gives a live overview of attacks that are happening inside the market, and also gives you recommendations on how to patch your systems or stop these compromises from happening. This gets updated on a regular basis. When we move over to devices on the left-hand side, in this demo environment, I have 2 workloads being backed up. They're VMware workloads, VMs. One's an Active Directory machine and a SQL machine. Today, we're going to be doing a DR recovery of these machines to show you guys how that works. Basically, if you select one of these machines, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a variety of tabs with services that are offered. So what I'm going to show you now is on the protection side of things, it's all managed from protection plans. And if I go to a protection plan, this is fully modular. This allows us to look at all the types of protection applied to these workstations. So if I just briefly go over this, under the backup section, this is where you control your schedules, your retention, which is fully customizable, as well as the important thing, having encryption on your archives. As we know, ransomware and other threat actors constantly target backups for their attacks on us. So that's important. Endpoint detection and response. This is an important feature in today's day and age. When you get attacked, you want to know where it's coming from in order to stop the bleeding, per se. Antivirus, anti-malware protection, which is fully customizable, as well as scanning. URL filtering. Often clients go to dodgy websites, and we can manage that from this console. Vulnerability assessments. Obviously, with how fast technology is growing at the moment, there's a lot of vulnerabilities that are created. The system allows you to track and monitor and also remediate those, and I'm going to go through that shortly. Patch management. As an IT service provider, it's incredibly difficult to patch all your systems and make sure your systems are up to date, and it becomes a heavy maintenance task. So luckily, we've incorporated that to give you guys the most security and the ease of use. Data protection map. Often clients think that they're backing up their systems and everything's protected. A data protection map scans systems to ensure that all workloads and all devices are protected, which is important. Device control. This is also with the popular compliance stuff, but just in general, clients plugging in USBs into systems or any sort of peripheral devices that shouldn't be plugged in, this helps control it. A cool feature is our data loss prevention feature. This feature allows for confidential documents or personal documents not being transmitted throughout a business or outside of a business. This is key for the POPIA Act, which is why we've incorporated it. And finally, our disaster recovery. I just want to show you while I'm coming past here, just quickly, SQL backups running on SQL systems. We have the ability to back up all different types of SQL databases, which is obviously important. If I go down to the management side of things, this is where you manage your plans. So these are protection plans, and these can be created here or on devices. Our agent plans, so there's a RMM side of this console that allows you to remotely manage your devices, which is important in an IT service provider framework, allowing you to quickly look at and fix issues for your clients. Scripting, there's also a scripting component. This is important, especially when you have to manage a large amount of devices. Being able to run these types of scripts are very important. It's fully customizable. There are templates as well to go through, which is pretty cool. Cloud application backups. So we are able to back up a lot of cloud applications like Office 365 Mailbox, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, etc. It's a cloud-to-cloud backup, which is great. Backup scanning. So this is an important one. A lot of guys find that when they back up data and they want to restore it, they end up restoring the malware that was being backed up in the first place. So I'm going to show you how that works as well. But basically, this scans all the backup archives to ensure there's no malware. Under backup validation, this goes hand in hand with the backup scanning. This ensures the recoverability of data, which is obviously very important. It's all fine and good backing up data until you can't restore it, right? So on the disaster recovery side of things, we're going to do a quick restore of these two machines. So these are containers of the actual live machine. They look very similar, but right now you'll see that these machines are in standby state. And I've created something called a runbook. And basically what a runbook does is this allows you to automate restoring a bunch of machines in the case of a disaster. So in this case, you find out there's a disaster, you go into a runbook, you execute a runbook, and you say, I want to execute a production and not a test. And this will start running. It should take about 5 minutes for these machines to be up, which is great. And while that's happening, I'm just going to quickly fly over the other services on the left-hand side. So the file sync and share component, this is a competitor for guys like OneDrive, with the addition of e-signing and notary using blockchain as well, which is great. On the email security side, we all know that email is one of the biggest attack vectors for hackers these days. I think over 90% of phishing is coming through emails these days. A lot of guys clicking on links that they shouldn't be clicking on, which obviously infect systems. So our email security service is we use Perception Point, and this is a direct competitor for Mimecast solutions as well. Under protection, this is where the EDR component and AV component come in. When incidents are seen here and mitigated, you can go through a full investigation of any of these types of attacks, which is critical to obviously stop any of these attacks getting into your system. There's obviously a quarantine and whitelisting section as well, which we can go through. And then on data loss prevention with the POPIA compliance things that I was talking about, this basically ensures that classified documents are not shared across avenues that they shouldn't be in your network. Under software management, this gives you an overview of critical patches or patches that need to be installed on your system. This is easy to go through in order to apply patches to your system on a regular basis. Vulnerability scanning. What's nice about vulnerability scanning is it doesn't just tell you that it's vulnerable, but it also links to a patch system, which allows you to patch based on these vulnerabilities. So it makes it a lot easier to manage. Software inventory gives you an overview of all software that sits inside your infrastructure, which is great in terms of management and reporting. Under backup storage, I want to show you guys this. So these are the backup archives. And if you go to show backups, it shows you all the backups done for this particular account, which are all recoverable. It also shows you this tag that says validated, which ensures that the backup is recoverable. This can be run on every backup as well. And the main thing about this is it tells you there's no malware found in this backup. And this happens with all the backups that it scans in order to ensure that there is safe recoverability of data. And then coming towards the end, on reporting side of things, we have fully customizable report widgets, which are great. These can also be alerted to alert email or sent through to whoever you require. Again, it's all customizable via widget. And then on the settings side of things, in terms of email notifications, you can go through this, but basically any sort of alerts that you would naturally get, these alerts can be also sent by email to maybe alerting platform as well, so that you guys don't always have to access the console to make sure that everything is up to date and working correctly. I'm going to quickly jump back to the disaster recovery thing, see how that's going. So if I go to my runbook here, you'll see there's a disaster recovery runbook that started. If I dive into this, it will tell me I failed over one of my servers and the second one is busy failing over. And if I go to those servers, I'm able to select the server and you'll see the options I have of the server now recovered in DR. So I'm able to continue to back up this machine. It automatically applies the current plan of the live system. It also gives you the ability to fail back to your live environment, which is key because it's fine just failing over, but getting back is usually a problem for a lot of clients. And from here, I can obviously power off the machine, stop the failover, or I can actually console onto the machine to ensure that the machine is operational. So these are fully functional systems, and we're able to access these systems. As per normal. And what's great, this process takes really quick. Even though this machine says it's still busy, if you start consoling onto this machine, you'll see it's just getting ready. So the longest part is actually Windows booting, not actually restoring the data. So that will come up soon. So typically restores take about 5 minutes to happen. It depends on the number of workloads. You'll see here it says completed now. So this completed in 4 minutes, the recovery process. And usually the longest time about recovery for us is just the machine booting itself. So you'll see it's just starting up Windows. And at that point, your systems are fully operational in the cloud and clients can continue to work. I just want to touch on one more thing before I finish. On the connectivity side of things, how do you actually connect to your DR? We have various ways. We have a layer 2 VPN appliance, which allows active recovery in terms of having your systems active on your current network. That's done by site-to-site VPN. We also have point-to-site VPN with OpenVPN and also IPsec systems that can connect. All machines also have their own public IP address. That's it for me. We go to Louis now for the Q&A.
Awesome, Trent. That was quite informative, and I actually enjoyed that demo of yours, seeing the magic happen in real life and that. So that's absolutely awesome. So what we want to do is we want to open the Q&A to everyone on the forum right now. So if you raise your virtual hand, Mal will pick you guys out, and then we can address any questions that you guys may have between myself and Trent. Awesome.
Awesome.
Also, if you feel more comfortable using the chat, feel free to use the chat.
Thanks, Mal.
Mel, do we have any questions while we just wait for any to come up on the forum where customers on the RSVP sent anything in?
Yes, I do. So the first question is, does it take longer to restore your systems with large amount of used space?
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great question. So this is oftenly misunderstood by a lot of IT service providers. We typically think the more amount of space we have, the longer it takes to recover. This isn't true with this system. It's got a very clever way of getting the systems up and running so that you can continue to work while it recovers the data in the background. So it's great for systems, especially with large amounts of data where the RTO is very important.
Cool, very cool. And then do I need to add all the features to use the DR component that you showed?
Yeah, what's great about it is it's fully modular, so you can use any particular services that you require. As an example, if you just want the cybersecurity element, you can do that. If you want all the elements or just DR by itself, it's fully modular. Which is great. You can add on services as you need, especially if your company, let's say, has a contract with a cybersecurity company that ends, you can just add on the cybersecurity component or the DR component very easily.
Awesome. And is the DR stack located in South Africa?
Yes. One of the most important things is having access to your data. And in terms of latency, you want access to your data within South Africa. So when guys are working in the DR infrastructure, it feels exactly like live. A lot of our competitors have systems hosted in the cloud, but they're all over the world, like in America, and accessing your systems becomes very difficult.
Awesome. Thanks, Trent.
No problem.
Any other questions coming from the forum, Al?
No, those were the main ones. Chart has a question though.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. Thanks, guys. Great event. Kudos for that. Like this short little sessions. Just to find out, when we look at Microsoft 365, can you explain the seats bracket when it comes to that?
Yeah,
I just
sure.
Want to from you on the costing. Now there's probably pricing. It's going to be different, but just how it works to the environments.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So the way it's costed is per seat. It looks at the number of seats. So even though we've connected to your Office 365 tenant, it uses the number of seats in order to determine the costing. So we have a price per seat for that. That also includes for the SharePoint sites as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks very much.
I just want to add there, the higher the seats, the lower the price. So we got like 1 to 100 at a certain price, and then as it goes up, the price goes lower.
Rick, I can't believe you just said that. You never say it gets cheaper.
Norman, we have a question from Norman.
Hi, everyone. My name is Norman. I just want to ask, so if we currently are doing a backup to disk and a backup to tape, and the business is looking at migrating to the cloud, so we do away with the tapes, how do you help your customers to be able to do the backup to the cloud, especially the setup and everything?
Yeah, no, definitely. So the nice part about the software is you don't need any hardware, or you don't need to put any hardware on site. So basically we can integrate into your existing systems, allow you to continue to back up to your local site, and also point that data to the cloud. So what's nice is it integrates with a lot of the existing systems, but it allows migration to the cloud very easily.
Awesome.
So effectively, that backup that you're talking about right now is sitting on that local backup. It effectively, when we do a rollout for customers, we'll plug into that system. The backup will continue to the local environment, and at the same time, in parallel, start backing up to the cloud environment. And then it's obviously up to our customers whether they want to continue having a level of local storage and local use of hardware, as well as the cloud services, or ultimately migrating entirely off of any local infrastructure and just allowing the backups to the cloud. But it does allow for a seamless cut over instead of any kind of interruption that happens, with other backup systems.
Thank you. Can I just make a follow-up? So do you guys do a POC perhaps if the organization would like to test that for free?
We
definitely. Yeah. So we want to make sure that it works properly before we sign any contracts, right? We want to make sure that your systems work exactly as expected. We test those systems and we run it in a POC state before we continue with the billing, etc. Right?
Yeah, so Norman, just reach out to your account manager and they'll facilitate the POC, and we can get it up and running for you guys at no cost. Like, proof's in the pudding, so get the software loaded onto your environment and we'll back it up to the cloud, which sits within South Africa. And the nice thing is, I don't know if you know, like sometimes when you try to restore from tapes, it's quite problematic in that. So this sort of model helps you overaddress that concern and risk, because 90% of the time the guys want to restore from tape. There's compatibility issues, server issues, and so forth. So this is a good way of doing it. Yeah. Trent, I've got a quick question. Obviously, people moving to the cloud and so forth, like I'm curious to understand the whole OneDrive SharePoint sort of backup, because everyone assumes that Microsoft is quite secure. I don't need to back up that environment. Like, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, so if you look at Microsoft specifically, they specifically say they're not a backup provider, right? It's a file sharing platform. But what often happens is files get deleted, get removed. They want files from old revisions, or alternatively, you have threat actors, which are actually guys inside your company that delete things on purpose or remove data on purpose. So having those kinds of systems in place ensures that your data integrity and retention stays in place on those kinds of platforms, right?
Yeah, nice. Because that comes up quite often. You'll find someone accidentally delete an Excel document or something, and that there's no way of recovering, so they need to start from scratch and so forth. So I've definitely found that a lot of clients have those challenges in that, and this is a great sort of solution to address those challenges.
Definitely.
Thanks, guys. There's some questions in the chat. First one from Alex: is there an archiving functionality within the backup?
Yeah, so
Trent, before you get started,
function,
maybe let's elaborate between a backup solution and an archiving solution, because I think a lot of people think backup is archiving and vice versa. So maybe let's differentiate between backup and archiving, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So archiving, typically it's just long-term retention with very little restores happening, right? So the backup system is specifically designed so that you can recover data quickly. However, we do have an archiving solution in the terms of S3, which allows you to store long-term data, especially for things like compliance or governance, where you need to keep that kind of data for a long period of time. So that would be a competitor to something like tape, where the cost per gig is a lot cheaper, but you can store the data for much longer, right?
Perfect.
Awesome. And then
Trent,
Sean asked,
so maybe,
oh, sorry,
if I just elaborate that slightly, and maybe in terms that the IT crowds understand, what we are bringing to the market is an Amazon S3 competitor and then an Amazon Glacier competitor. So when we talk about archive, we'll both have hot storage, i.e. you can offload, say, from your Veeam backups or your Acronis backups to S3, but then also from as Trent says, from a compliance and a governance perspective, and also there's no need to throw away data, you just archive it. Yeah, just let you know that's in the works.
Awesome, thanks, Steve.
thank you. And then Sean asked, how does pricing compare to competitors such as Enable?
Yeah, so Enable, obviously, what's cool about Enable is they have integrations in our platform as well. So a lot of guys that are using Enable do actually use Enable and our platforms together with integrations. But the pricing is extremely competitive. And the nice thing about Irontree is we can work with you to find a solution that fits best for your budget, right?
And the nice thing, Trent, it's also rand-based, correct? So we're not worrying too much about rand-dollar fluctuations, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's the
So
best
Sean, maybe
part.
to answer your question simply, you will find our pricing quite favorable compared to Enable.
Yeah, we're finding a lot of tech that we're using, which rand-dollar based. I think with the rand depreciating, a lot of people's budgets are getting impacted and so forth. So having a South African technology, having data centers within South Africa, rand-based makes a big difference in terms of stretching your budget and so forth. Yeah. Mal, I think we've got 2 minutes to go. Any other questions? I know this is a quick sort of virtual Q&A session for 30 minutes. Do we have any other questions? And if you don't have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to your account managers. Like Trent said, we are open to POCs, prove the technology, show how the technology works and everything like that. So yeah, I think there's nothing much from my side that I can add. Mal, Brian, if you want to add anything.
No, that's it. If there's no other questions from the floor, then thank you to everyone for joining us. And thank you again to Trent and Irontree for joining us for the session today. And we look forward to hosting the next one. And again, anything that comes out of the session, feel free to reach out to your account managers or to any of us. We'll be more than happy to assist you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm glad we managed to finish up just on time. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.